The July 12th, 2016 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer? Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Mr. Brew? Mrs. Brown? Dr. Carbone is excused. Mrs. Conley? President Daniele?
Here.
Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. DeFlorio? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Felder? Mr. Flagler-Mitchell? Ms. Harris? Mr. Hebert? Mr. Howland? Ms. Cayley? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Marionetti? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Shepard? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Terp? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Zale?
Please stay seated. I'd like to introduce Pastor Bruce Plummer of Christ Community Church, who has been invited this evening by Legislator Mike Zale. Pastor?
The Apostle Paul says in Romans chapter 13, verse 1, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God." Whether elected or appointed, in the purest sense, those are in authority and have an office of authority. They hold that and are subject to the God who made them and made those offices. That means that each one of us in a position of authority has a duty to perform. It's primarily the duty of a servant of God and a servant of those whom we are leading. What struck me today, however, was the verse previous to this. It says very simply this: "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." There is much evil in this world, as partially evidenced by the events of the past week of violence. Our hearts in particular are with the families and friends of and co-workers of officers in Dallas. We are grieving over many of these evil events. But we must overcome and persist in overcoming evil with good as servants of God and as servants of the people we represent. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we turn to you tonight and we ask you that you would fill this chamber with your Spirit. Lord, we ask for wisdom, for unity, for a determination to inject good into a world in which evil often raises its ugly head. God, we are trusting you tonight to give us all that we need in order to persist in doing good, your good, in this world. I ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to present this to you from all of us in the legislature. Thank you for coming out tonight. Kind hearts. Thank you. I'd ask you to now stand as Legislator Tanya Connolly will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Connolly. Please remain standing. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 28 out of regular agenda order. Agenda item number 28 is moved by Legislator Marionetti, seconded by Legislator Cayley. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for Irene Gossin, former Monroe County legislator and former Penfield Town Supervisor?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Irene L. Gossin, former Monroe County legislator and former Penfield Town Supervisor. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deep sympathy at the recent passing of Irene L. Gossin, former Monroe County legislator and former Penfield Town Supervisor. And whereas Irene L. Gossin passed away on June 20th, 2016, surrounded by family and friends. And whereas Irene was committed to public service and environmental conservation. In a house she helped design on a bluff above Irondequoit Creek, Irene began work in the mid-1960s to help protect the area around her home from development. She became known as the mother of the Irondequoit Basin and continued to fight for the conservation of the creek, bay, and watershed. And whereas Irene entered public service in 1971 when she was elected Penfield Town Supervisor and became the first woman to run a government in Monroe County. She served as supervisor for 10 years, working on land use and open space issues during her time in office. And whereas Irene would continue to fulfill her passion for public service by serving as a Monroe County legislator for 5 years. She was elected to represent the 15th District of Monroe County in 1986 and served until 1991. And whereas, as one of Monroe County's most well-known environmentalists and local politicians, her courage and compassion will be remembered through the construction of a nature preserve. The Irene L. Gosson Nature Preserve will serve as a testament to her activism and engagement within the community. And whereas Irene was predeceased by her husband, Alex J. Gosson, parents Peter and Emma Lound, as well as her 5 siblings, Frank, Roy, Esther, Alice, and Neil. She is survived by her 2 children, Andrea Tarquino and Peter Gosson, her grandchildren, Alex, Christopher, Peter, and Jamie, and many other family members, friends, colleagues, and community members who love and appreciate the work she did for our community. Be it further resolved that the Clerk of the Legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
May now be seated. You didn't see Tooch, though. Legislators, you've received your copies of the Journal of Day 8, June 14th, 2016. Without exception, the journal stands approved as submitted. I would like to welcome a former county legislator, Mark Assini, and current Gate Supervisor. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mark. There is a hearing loop in place this evening to assist those who are hard of hearing. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire in the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic devices in your possession, I would request that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for next committee cycle are in your folders and on your desk. This evening there are several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk.
Would Quintino and Nellie DeCesar please come forward? Also, President Anthony J. Daniele and legislators Frank X. Alcoffer and Tony Michike. Whereas Quintino and Nellie DeCesar left their small town of Pretola Poligna in Italy in the 1960s and made their new home Monroe County. Since that time, they have been unceasingly committed to the well-being of their family, their church, and their community. After their marriage in 1967, they settled in the town of Gates, where they raised their 2 sons, Roberto and Lorenzo. And whereas, since moving to Gates, they have been active members at St. Theodore's Parish. Quintino is both a member of the parish council and an usher at Sunday Mass. Nellie has been president of the Rosary Altar Society for 10 years. Both are Eucharistic ministers and continue to be involved in charity events, fundraisers, and picnics. And whereas Quintino and Nellie are members of multiple clubs and organizations in their community, including the Gates Amita Club, the Italian Civic League, the Italian Community Center, Valguanera Society, Gates Eagles Club, the Italian Sports Club, and Sons of Italy, where they have helped raise thousands of dollars for local charities, improved the lives of others, and contributed to the welfare of the community. And whereas Quintino and Nellie were instrumental in starting the first ever Rochester Columbus Day Parade, where they then chaired for 4 years. They have also co-chaired the popular Columbus Day Luncheon held in downtown Rochester with attendance routinely exceeding 500 people every year. And whereas Quintino and Nellie have helped organize countless other community events to be enjoyed and cherished by others, their tireless dedication has left a lasting impression on the town of Gates and Monroe County. Now, therefore, we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Frank X. Alcoffer, Legislator District 4, and Tony Michike, Legislator District 26, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Quintino and Nellie DeCesar for their dedication to the town of Gates and Monroe County. Congratulations.
I don't have a speech, a long speech anyway. But the only thing I have to say, this proclamation there, I want to divide in four section in here, okay? Me and my wife, and then we got, all the Getsamida Club, which they are in here. You understand that, all Getsamida Club? Everyone follow me up. You understand that? And then I want to dedicate it for my kids there, okay, and my grandkids. I'm going to tell them I'm sorry there for the many times we miss their event, play soccer, dancing there and everything else, what they do it. A lot of time we miss their event for the community, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Would the Spencerport Rangers first team 3015 please come forward? Also, President Anthony J. Daniele and legislators Frank X. Alcoffer, George J. Hebert, Mike Zale, and Tina Brown. Whereas in 1989, Dean Kamen created FIRST, an organization that aims to inspire young people to be science and technology leaders. By creating programs that teach science, engineering, and technology skills, FIRST encourages young people to be hardworking and innovative. At this year's FIRST robotics competition, teams were required to build a robot designed to accomplish specific tasks within a set time limit. And whereas the Spencerport Rangers FIRST robotics team traveled to St. Louis to compete in the final round of the FIRST robotics competition, Team 3015 of Spencerport made it to the championship, working together with teams from around the world. These students were presented with a challenge and worked diligently to meet and exceed expectations. And whereas the ingenuity and imagination displayed by this group of young adults is not only impressive but inspiring. These students, along with their mentors, have worked extremely hard during this competition. Monroe County is a better place because of creative and talented innovators and pioneers who have come before us, and it will continue to be a great place because young people, such as the members of Team 3015, embrace the same value for science and innovation. Now, therefore, we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Frank X. Alcoffer, Legislator District 4, George J. Hebert, Legislator District 15, Mike Sale, Legislator District 20, and Tina Brown, Legislator District 1, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Spencerport Rangers FIRST Team 3015 on being national finalists at the 2016 FIRST Robotics Competition. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody, for welcoming our extended family of Ranger Robotics to your meeting tonight. I started the program in 2009 with 17 kids and 5 adults, and in a short time, we've grown to almost 90 students and 22 mentors, parents, industry engineers, experts in the fields that are working with these talented students. We couldn't do it without the support of our school district, our community, and our generous sponsors, local sponsors that have given so much to us, such as Harris, Xerox, Baxter, Advantage Federal Credit Union. They allow us to do what we do, and we always say on our team, every one of these kids can go pro in their sport. They're all going to be special people in this world. I'm so proud of every one of them. The one thing I always like to say is, we're more than building robots at Team 3015. We're about building world-class robots, but also a world-class community in Spencerport. And people have heard me talk over the years. These are the kids that are special kids that have helped us get to where we are. And I would like to give them 5 minutes to give our chairman's presentation to tell you what we do outside of building robots. We build great robots, world-class robots, but I'm more proud of the stuff we do inside our community and throughout Greater Rochester that really forms Team 3015 and the family that we brought to you tonight. So I'm going to give it over to Mia and Jason. They're going to talk to you for a few minutes. If there's any questions at the end, we'd love to answer them because these kids love to talk about their program.
I'm Jason Hicks. It is going to be my 3rd year on the robotics team. I am on the programming sub-team.
Our home station is our support from our parents, district, and community. We work together to create a cohesive culture of robotics. Team 3015 is everywhere. Within our school district, we present achievements and proposals at board meetings every year. We also are very thankful for everything that we do, and in Spencerport, robotics is the thing to do.
The mentors of Team 3015 are crucial to keeping us on track. As a programmer, I oftentimes need assistance with the software when hitting a roadblock. One of our programming mentors, Mr. Heslin, quickly guides me through the process of solving problems so I can solve similar problems for myself in the future.
The engine of our train is our leadership. Team 3015 is headed by 3 teacher leaders, 2 of them being Woody Flowers Award winners. We also have a 5-student cabinet. This year I will hold the position as president. We work together to lead the way for our peers in and outside of school. An integration subteam also works directly with the sponsor through weekly video conferences to help streamline our team's efficiency. Next, we have our passenger car with all of our FIRST programs. Over the past 2 years, our program has expanded to 5 FLL, 1 FTC, and our FRC team. Our school board has approved a proposal to grow to 18 junior FLL, 12 FLL, 2 FTC, and our FRC team. We use a feeder system in our progression of programs, hoping to involve all of our students in robotics throughout their entire time in Spencerport School District. few years ago, Dean came and approached our team thinking Team 3015 was all girls. Since then, we have achieved new heights with a program being started to help encourage younger girls to join our FTC team.
Team 3015 has had a considerable amount of alumni that either come back as mentors or pursue a career that greater extends STEM education to younger generations.
Our generous sponsors fill our fuel car. They include Klein, Harris, J, UTC, Xerox, and Baxter. They allow us to improve robot design and construction, communication, and improve our knowledge of engineering. Recently, we gained government support. New York Assemblyman Peter Lawrence granted 3015 $2,500 for our STEM initiatives. We built a lasting relationship with him, and he came and spoke at the kickoff event and has attended our local regional to cheer us on.
The first boxcar is all about how we spread first mission. We hosted this year's FTC and FRC first kickoffs. We are excited to rally over 800 people in North School's auditorium to show the kickoff video, as well as expand the event by including breakout sessions, chairman's chat, games, a DJ, and raffles. Several of our parents joined the planning committee along with mentors and students to make this event such a huge success.
One of the most valued parts in our train is our community boxcar. Giving back to our supportive community is important to us, as well as giving back in the areas of STEM. We focus our efforts so that we can impact people deeply while still reaching widely. Personally, one of the most impactful events we participated in was visiting a pediatric unit at Gonzalo Children's Hospital. We were able to share our product of STEM with children who greatly rely on STEM achievements. The exchange of inspiration was amazing, with each child leaving a touching impact on our hearts. Within our community, we've held 2 annual Robopaloozas. All of our first programs come together to set up interactive stations and full practice fields. Hundreds of people attend the event, drive the robots, and are able to enjoy it as a family. Over the past few years, we have grown close with the Pettit family, who tragically lost a child. We volunteer at annual Dreams from Drake events, providing over 70 volunteers and raising over $10,000. We love supporting Drake's family and other families alike. At one of the demos, Drake's younger brother Trevor was so excited about the robot, and he was able to join one of our FLL teams. Also, within our community, we have held an annual Chalk the Walks. We gathered within the village of Spencerport to chalk inspirational quotes and also to increase breast cancer awareness. Our community is very supportive of us in and out of the build season, and we decided that it was time to inspire those that have inspired us.
We also contribute to our community by becoming parts of events such as Relay for Life, where a robot leads the survival lab at the annual Westside event. We were proud to have donated over $5,000 towards cancer research. We were also parts of events such as Friday Morning Lights, where our school was showcased by a local news station, and most importantly, our school's robotics team was honored alongside varsity sports teams. Our student body was and is very supportive of our school's robotics team. STEM is one of my personal favorites that we do as a team. We prepare educational lessons by meeting with the teachers to better align with their curriculum. I love visiting our local elementary schools and teaching the students the importance of STEM. All the while, it teaches me leadership and is a way to show my heart for robotics. The kids love the hands-on experience and cannot wait to hug onto the Ranger Robotics family.
Over the past summers, we've held robotics summer camps for students in our programs or students interested in becoming a part of our programs. This allows the members of Team 3015 to work hands-on building robots with the younger students. Also, at one of our local elementary schools, we've been asked to start an all-girls STEM club. This year, we implemented Ranger Reboot. These workshops prepared students on Team 3015 with knowledge about programming, CAD, and the machines in our shop. People were able to learn about what goes into a build season before jumping into it. Team 3015 does not hesitate to stop at other first stations to help other first teams. We currently mentor the RoboJacks. At kickoff, we did a rookie build with them, and they left with a working robot. They have also visited us for assistance with programming and the machines in our shop. We are also helping to start an FRC team in Geneva. This past build season, they attended our Saturday build sessions to learn what becoming a first team is all about and to learn about the build season. We will submit a NASA grant for their first registration. In the fall, they will use our practice robot at the Ra-Cha-Cha Ruckus for their first competition. Also, we have written a NASA grant to help start a team at North Star Christian Academy. To help improve teams, to internally improve and help improve teams around us, we have also started Chairman's Chats, where we share our tips for preparing the Chairman's Award to other teams in our area.
To better utilize all the resources that our team has at hand, we prepare some of the parts for other local teams for them. We also have a warehouse set up with a full practice field nearby. We invite other teams to the warehouse so that they can utilize the field as a resource to help them improve. Through robotics, I have been provided with endless opportunities of what I would like to pursue as a career, all while enjoying them and extending what I know to younger generations.
Through robotics, I have gained leadership and communication skills. I have gained confidence in my abilities to effectively share information and knowledge with others. Team 3015 is always ready to add new cars. We are confident that we have the sustainability to continue to grow. All aboard as the 3015 Express travels onward and upward.
Just a quick little glimpse of what we are, more than building robots. We appreciate your time tonight and allow us to come and visit. Thank you very much, and hope to work with you guys in the future. Take care.
Nice work. Good job.
Would the Churchville Chi-Li men's track and field team please come forward? Also, President Anthony J. Daniele and legislators Steve Brew and Tracy DeFlorio. Whereas the Churchville Chi-Li men's track and field team has made history for their school and our community. Led by Coach Dennis Pinn, the men's team completed their first undefeated season in 22 years and achieved the first county championship victory in school history. And whereas impeccable teamwork carried the team to success, with each member playing a vital role in winning the county meet. The synergy displayed by all team members directly led to their well-deserved win. And whereas Coach Pinn has done an excellent job in training, motivating, and leading these young men to victory. The men's team consistently demonstrates character, sportsmanship, and a motivated work ethic that has rewarded them well this season. Coach Pinn named this team the best group of young men to come through the program in many years, and his guidance is evident in their success. And whereas the Churchville Chi-Li men's track and field team is an inspiration to both their school community and the greater Monroe County athletic community. Teamwork and dedication cannot be taught, yet they are the vital keys to lasting success. These young men have learned that by creating a positive environment, they are able to work and grow together more seamlessly. We applaud them for setting this example. Now, therefore, we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Tracy DeFlorio, Legislator District 3, and Steve Brew, Legislator District 12, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize the Churchville Chi-Li men's track and field team for their outstanding season. Congratulations.
I'd just like to take a second and thank everyone for coming tonight. I know a lot in here talked about myself, but none of this can be done without these young men here and other ones that were part of the team as well tonight. We have coaches here, Coach DeBone and Coach Theo down at the end. We have other coaches on our staff as well. And really, as the team has gotten better and better over the last few years, my role has gotten less and less, as these gentlemen have done an unbelievable job not only in their work ethic, but also their character and sportsmanship. I just commend you gentlemen, and I wish the seniors the best as you guys go forward to your further education and underclassmen taking over for them. Thank you very much.
Would Scott Fearing please come forward? Also President Anthony J. Daniele and legislators Cynthia W. Cayley and James M. Shepard. The Monroe County Legislature recognizes Scott Fearing. Whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor local individuals and organizations that advocate on behalf of others and add to the quality of life of Monroe County. And whereas attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor Scott Fearing, the Executive Director of the Gay Alliance of the Genesee Valley. And whereas Mr. Fearing moved to Rochester 11 years ago today from Minneapolis, where he worked for nearly 15 years as the Senior Director for Outfront Minnesota, a statewide LGBT organization. He is a graduate of St. Cloud State University, where he studied intercultural communications and adult education and has provided consultation and training to many public and private sector organizations around the country. Scott joined the Gay Alliance of the Genesee Valley in 2007 as the program director and has served as executive director since 2013. And whereas this year we celebrate Pride Week from July 10th through July 17th, which is New York State's largest Pride festival north of New York City and is celebrating its 27th year. Since Rochester Pride's celebrations began in 1972, the LGBTQ community has grown and evolved into a strong and cherished part of our community, fabric due to their mission to unite and engage individuals and organizations to empower, educate, and support the Rochester LGBTQ and allied community, and also to promote a positive image in the greater Rochester area through community activities and services. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Cynthia W. Cayley, Minority Leader, and James M. Shepard, Legislator District 23, on behalf of the Monroe County Legislature, do hereby honor Scott Fearing, Executive Director of the Gay Alliance of the Genesee Valley, on this 12th day of July 2016. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. While this has my name at the top, it is not just for me, it's for the entire LGBTQ community of Rochester. While today may indeed be my anniversary of becoming a Rochesterian, I'm also reminded that it was a month ago today that I woke up to the news of the tragedy in Orlando that affected me and my community members so deeply. What it really proves to me, what that event proved to me, was our work is not done. We have made great strides. The voices of hate, bigotry, resistance, and unacceptance are still loud and clear. And that's why I would like to acknowledge Sam Brett, who's here with me this evening, and ask him to say a few words about the Rochester Pride Festival, which is coming up. Unfortunately, we didn't know we could bring visual aids, or we could have brought all sorts of things along in order to help people understand the importance of Rochester Pride. But on behalf of the Gay Alliance and on behalf of myself personally, thank you for this honor. And Sam, would you come up and say a few things about next weekend's Pride celebration in town?
Thank you, Scott. Congratulations. My name is Sam Brett. I'm the co-chair of Pride this year, and I'm very proud of you, Scott, actually, this moment. But I'm reminded also that Pride started, 50 years ago nearly at Stonewall riots, and I think the fight's still not over for many members of our community that are still oppressed and marginalized in our communities. So Pride is very much needed to this day, and I think we have a lot of events this year for Pride. over 20 events to include all members of the community, regardless of age, ability, gender identity, religion, etc. So I invite everybody to check out all the information on our website, rochesterpride.com. But the festival is coming up this weekend. There's something for everybody to do, all families, all members of our community. I really appreciate the work that of our volunteers that we have. We have over 200 volunteers to make this whole week happen, and many of which are our allies that often just go unrecognized. So for all the straight people out there who really are supportive of the LGBT community, thank you so much. And to all our members that really work hard to make Pride happen, thank you very much as well. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would representatives from the Brighton Public Forum debate teams please come forward? Also, President Anthony J. Daniele and legislators Justin F. Wilcox, James M. Shepard, and Joshua Baroth. The Monroe County Legislature recognizes the Brighton Public Forum debate teams. Whereas it is the sense of these legislators to honor local students who achieve success, demonstrate high character in and out of school, and represent our communities with honor at statewide competitions. And whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Brighton Public Forum debate teams. And whereas the Brighton Public Forum debate teams participate in the New York State Forensic League along with other public and private schools in Monroe County. The Forensic League's mission is to develop articulate adults who revere truth and who effectively express the truth as they participate in the life of the nation. And whereas 4 debate teams from Brighton qualified to attend the state tournament held at Hofstra University in April that featured 70 schools from across the state with over 200 debate teams and performed admirably in the preliminary rounds. And whereas the Brighton teams of Neil Bagwat and Maggie Chen, Roe Derry and Anup Sankara, Cole Cusick and Maya Rayner, and Jacob Ritterman and Salman Syed competed in local and regional competitions throughout the year in order to qualify and represent Brighton with distinction. Although unable to attend the tournament, Zi Hao-Ki was also qualified due to his hard work during the year. Coached by Melinda Riviello and aided by community volunteer Dr. Ray Smith, this group of outstanding young men and women will continue to build on their success and achieve even greater things in the future under the leadership of Brighton High School Principal Dr. Thomas Hall. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Justin F. Wilcox, Legislator District 14, James M. Shepard, Legislator District 23, and Joshua Baroth, Legislator District 24, honor the Brighton Public Forum debate team members on this 12th day of July 2016. Congratulations.
So we appreciate the recognition for our public forum teams. Brighton High School is actually part of the Rochester-Buffalo region, which is one of 7 regions in the New York State Forensic League. Our speech and debate club has upwards of 30 members who compete in various events. Public forum debate is just one of those events, but it's a very popular event. Our 4 public forum teams were determined to attend the New York State tournament this year, and we were certainly very proud that all 4 qualified. We were the only ones to send this number of teams from our region. Since public forum speaking is a big part of speech and debate, I've asked one of our students, Cole, to represent the team today to say a few words about their experience. Cole?
Hello, my name is Cole Kuzak, and as you know, I'm part of one of the public forum debate teams for Brighton High School. First off, I would like to tell you a bit about public forum debate. Public forum was the clear debate choice for all of us from the start. The evidence, team-based format hooked us and overall made us really come to love the Speech and Debate Club. Public forum debate is a 2v2 format where sides debate on an issue, trying throughout the debate to negate the opposition's argument. One of the reasons I feel that we enjoy the style is because the debates can really get heated. In the public forum format, in addition to the speeches, there are crossfire rounds. This is what many of us enjoy, as it is pure debating at its finest and can get intense. Now I will get into the experience at the state's tournament. We had about a month to prepare for the topic, which was resolved to alleviate income inequality in the United States. Increased spending on public infrastructure should be prioritized over increased spending on means-tested welfare. I personally enjoyed this topic very much, as I felt that it was fitting for the state's format. Instead of just lobbing evidence at each other, I felt that this topic was more based off of debating skills, using that evidence to one's advantage. The experience at States was absolutely fantastic. To understand the competition and work that the teams have put in made for great learning. We found out what it took to compete at the level that all of them are, and we are all hoping to qualify for States again next year and advance far in the competition. Lastly, I would like to give a huge thanks to Legislator Wilcox for your role in recognizing our teams before the Monroe County Legislature. Thank you.
Test. Good. All right. We will now recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing. I declare, do we have public speakers? Okay, I'm doing that first. Good. My apologies. We will now recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing. I declare open the public hearing on resolution intro number 202 of 2016 entitled Adopting a 2017 to 2022 Capital Improvement Program.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed and reconvene the July 12, 2016 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Madam Clerk?
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the back of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers are Larry Crawford, Joseph Stephanie, and William Bradburn.
My name is Larry Crawford. I speak to you as a retired deputy from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office who worked the jail for 26 years. This job where everybody has to give it their 100%. I am asking you now to give full support to the Monroe County Deputy Sheriff's Association on their negotiations for their contract. Over my 26 years, there were several times where the department came up to short staff, and This puts all staff at risk. I have been in several disputes out, I'm sorry, I have seen several deputies out on injuries due to staff shortage and the suffering tragedy myself when I lost my wife from line of duty death in 1995. She was also the jail deputy. It is my feeling that as the jail was at full staff at the time of the incident, this would not have taken her from me. I find it's very disappointing that you find it hard to support all along our deputies on getting their contract through. I ask you now to step up and support them fully and all law enforcement in the future for keeping our community safe. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to stand here before you and speak this evening. My name is Joe Stephanie. I've been a probation officer with Monroe County for the past 19 years. I would like to take this opportunity to explain the difference and similarities between Monroe County probation and New York State parole. By definition, Monroe County probation is an alternative to incarceration. Offenders are sentenced to a term of probation supervision, which allows the offender to remain in the community instead of a lengthy and costly term of incarceration. New York State parole is post-release supervision, where offenders are sentenced to a term of incarceration with community service upon release, or community supervision upon release. The similarities start with job requirements. Both Monroe County probation officers and New York State parole require at least a bachelor's degree with some experience in the human service field. The training is similar: firearms training, defensive tactics training, and peace officer training, just to name a few. Another similarity is the job itself. Probation and parole officers perform the same basic duties while supervising the same population. We do this in a similar manner, through office reports and field visits, going to offenders' homes, their places of employment, schools, and even street stops on occasion. On the adult side, Monroe County probation officers currently supervise over 3,000 misdemeanor offenders, more than 3,000 felony cases, and over 500 violent felony cases. Percentage-wise, felony cases overall comprise of more than 50% of all adult criminal supervision cases that we have. While probation officers strive to work with offenders and avoid incarceration, some probationers do not adjust positively to the need to be returned to court via violation of probation. Some violate with a lengthy prison term. I've mentioned many similarities. There's one disparaging difference: salary. New York State parole officers currently earn approximately $20,000 more at top salary of probation officers. I'm proud to serve our community. I'm committed to enhancing and maintaining public safety in Monroe County. I'm also very proud to work with such a dedicated professional group of probation officers. Thank you for your attention, and I apologize for going over time.
My name's Bill Bradburn. I work in public safety. I'm proud to be a Monroe County probation officer, as are about 30 some out of my friends back in the room. I live in West Irondequoit, Dr. Joe's district. We wave at each other when he drives through my neighborhood and I'm walking my dog. I know 3 probationers that live in my neighborhood, which is no different than everybody else's neighborhood in Monroe County. We keep our eyes on them. Over 100 years ago, Monroe County Probation was established. Other probation departments throughout the state look up to us as being the best. My concerns are public safety, and that it is getting very difficult to effectively do our jobs. The state is requiring more and more reports, causing us to spend more time behind the computer instead of having direct contact to effect change in the probationers through office reporting and unannounced home visits. In trainings that I have been to with officers from other counties, I've heard them complaining that they have caseloads that are too large to handle, caseloads of up to 85 probationers. In my unit, we average 124 cases per supervision officer. Our ranks are depleted. We are experiencing a loss of highly trained officers. I've counted 19 officers that have left the department in the past 2 years, including the deputy chief who recently retired to pursue other opportunities. Many officers are retiring, but several officers have left to go to parole, federal probation, or probation departments in neighboring counties due to the offer of higher wages. I've not seen this happen before in my time here with the county. There's been recent publicity of raising the minimum wage in New York to $15 an hour. College-educated probation officer candidates with 4-year bachelor's degrees start in Monroe County at $16.11 an hour. A recent retiree told me that when he started here, Monroe County was the second best paid probation department in the state. We are now 37th. In the past 9 years, there's been 2.5% raise. This is affecting retention and recruitment of officers. Probation officers are an important part of public safety. We are a force for positive change, working with the criminal community. Thank you.
Our final two speakers are Rachel Pickering and Tim Meyer.
Thank you for the opportunity to address each one of you this evening. For 2 years going on 3 now, Monroe County child care subsidies have not increased from the mandated levels of $4.2 million. Hundreds of Monroe County families applying for these subsidies are denied for lack of funding. 75% of families needing child care subsidies do not get them at all. I have a whole list of other facts if you need to see them. There's 3 sobering statistics among many. In the first 5 years of life, children need adequate nutrition for their brains to develop and for them to build good social and interpersonal skills that will affect them for the rest of their lives, for better or worse. Without adequate nutrition, that's not likely, and the consequences are far more expensive and far-reaching than anyone here today can imagine, especially for those children. Now, speaking as a minister, as we heard from the Reverend to begin with, quoting Romans regarding the authority that all people have comes from God, we have a social contract to ensure that our children receive the same chance we did to succeed in life. There's nothing unclear about the divine mandate to the least of those among us to clothe the poor, to tend to the sick, and to feed the hungry. It doesn't matter your faith tradition, it's all the same. What I am seeking tonight is Monroe County Legislature to increase the budgeted amount for child care to reflect more accurately the growing needs of our most vulnerable citizens, our children, by increasing the budget for that line item. So I want to thank you for your time and for your consideration on this very, very important and timely issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Rachel Pickering.
Good evening. I'm Rachel Pickering. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Children's Agenda. Prior to my position as COO, I served as their Director of Community Health Initiatives for 3 years. First, I'd like to start with offering a thank you to the county executive and to your leadership team. We are thrilled to learn of your decision to appoint Dr. Mendoza to the position of Public Health Commissioner. Congratulations, Dr. Mendoza. We look forward to your continued leadership for children and families in Monroe County. As Dr. Mendoza and his incredible team of experience day in, day out, children in our county face undeniable health challenges. As reported in Monroe County's 2015 Youth Behavioral Risk Survey, 70% of Monroe County high school students are experiencing or have experienced at least one adverse childhood event, or ACE, in their life. Of that 70%, 28% report having experienced 3 or more. Generally, adverse childhood events, or ACEs, fall into 3 categories: abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. 70% of youth in our county are commonly experiencing events like physical abuse, emotional neglect, or living with a mentally ill or suicidal adult. As the research tells us, the more ACEs you have in your childhood, the greater your risk for emotional, social, or medical issues as an adult, like depression, drug use, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and stroke. 7 out of 10. This is 7 out of every 10 kids that attend your town's youth recreation programs. This is 7 out of 10 youth in a Sunday school classroom. This is 7 out of every 10 students studying for their SATs, building a robot, running track, or engaged in a debate. As budgets are finalized and submitted, we urge you to consider children's health outcomes in your reviews and decision-making. We must focus on prevention. We must fund the programs that strengthen families and improve children's well-being. Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 16-0155, adopting 2006.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by Legislator Taylor. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Lightfoot.
So long. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I received the proposed president's plan for the Monroe County Legislature just a while back, maybe even a couple of weeks ago, Mr. President, and I think there were some opportunities for some to participate in some kind of way. However, Mr. President, I didn't necessarily get that memo on that. I would have liked to had given some more input on this particular referral here, Mr. President. And so, Mr. President, I'll be explaining my vote as we move forward on this. But at this time, Mr. President, I have a question about the spending reductions part of the plan. Mr. President, to you, I would like to ask if you, under the bullet, opposes unfunded mandates, advocate for county control of the relevant programs and program expenditures, and oppose any realignment initiatives which fail to fully fund services shifted to the county. Mr. President, I kindly ask, is this a bullet item that you are prepared to amend and strike from this plan?
Thank you, Legislator Lightfoot. As we discussed at the Agenda Charter Committee, the work plan is a general working document that outlines the goals of the Monroe County Legislature in this session. It is not intended to propose necessarily specific legislation, so I know a couple of your colleagues expressed some concerns on the same matter. I would say, however, that the work plan was submitted to both caucuses, I believe, in May, and we are now in July. And I know I did specifically reach out to Minority Leader Cayley as well as some other legislators. It did come up in committee, and so I tried to do everything I could to make sure that if there was input from either or any legislator, that there was ample time to reach out. So at this time, certainly it is your right to propose an amendment, and when you do so, obviously, as responsible legislators, we will listen to your amendment and consider it. However, I certainly would have appreciated and encouraged that type of thing to take place earlier in the process. But certainly the floor is yours. And
well, I'm asking you to do it. I'm asking you to present the amendment.
It doesn't necessarily work that way, Legislator Lightfoot. Since it would be my amendment, and since I don't know exactly what you're proposing to amend, that would be an odd situation.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
And I'm fully aware that I can put that out there on the floor and pull a second, but out of respect for my president here, my minority leader, I know we didn't discuss that in caucus. So if it was something that would come from you, it would supersede that, and it'd be in good faith effort.
What are you proposing that I amend, Legislator Lightfoot?
The first bullet on the spending reductions to support this objective, the legislature will oppose unfunded mandates, advocate for county control of the relevant programs and program expenditures, and oppose any realignment initiatives which fail to fully fund services shifted to the county.
And how would you propose I amend that?
Just by deleting it.
I would suggest, Legislator Lightfoot, if you would like to propose to amend the document to delete that you can make that proposal and second it, we can vote on it. But I would not propose to make that amendment myself.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, President Everything. Chairman, President. I don't have any questions. I have a comment. I wanted to rise to explain my vote. I will be voting in the affirmative for this, though it's not the plan that I would hope for. I think that it moves forward in some measure in that it has measurables. In the past, we have not been included in the conversation, and measurables have been brought up, and that is something that I feel is important when you submit a work plan or a plan for us, that there actually be a form of accountability. In this particular work plan, you do have the section, certainly with the modernization, that is an accomplishable goal that can be measured and worked on through us all. I do have some reservations in that, and we did speak prior to this, in that human services is not included in this year's plan. And I find that since that is such a large portion of the services that we as legislators and this body offer to the residents of Monroe County, that it should be. And in that, because this is a plan that goes forward, I would hope that you, Mr. President, specifically would reach out later on with the option of amending this particular work plan going forward prior to the end of the year or at the next year. Because, again, I was told in the very beginning it was a growing document, and it moved with us as we moved. And I think that there is room for change in the near future, but I certainly don't expect it to happen tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Cayley. Any further discussion? Legislator Muyo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd rise to explain my vote. I'd like to make 2 points concerning the proposed work plan for the legislature. After reviewing the work plan for the legislature, I noticed that there was some absences that I would like to point out. The first is the absence of a single word, and that's poverty. Poverty is not a pleasant issue to bring up because its effects are so pernicious, but it must be something that we speak about if we're to end its grip on our county. So if we are to amend this work plan, I hope that we include some language about those who are living in poverty. Let's not erase their existence. We must understand that people are living in poverty and deprivation in this county, and we must work to end that. Second, Mr. President, something else that in my view is missing from the work plan is a challenge to us as civil servants and to legislators. Something that we can work towards as a positive change, an initiative we can bring forth that future generations can continue to work towards. One suggestion that came to my mind is a comprehensive program to stamp out the harmful and deadly effects of lead poisoning in our county, whether it is in lead-based paint or in residences or other building materials or in our water delivery system. We must work to rid our society of this menace. I know this is a complex issue, but we have been elected to deal with issues of this magnitude. And let's be clear-eyed about this. All 29 of us were elected to 4-year terms along with a new county executive, and we still have at least 3.5 years left on those terms with a possibility of re-election. It's within our power to work towards this worthy goal if it's something we decide that we want to do. So, Mr. President, I'll be voting no on this item for the reason I set forth above. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Marionetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley?
Oh, I'm sorry. One moment. Yes, Legislator Lightfoot. Yes, it was. You're welcome. No problem. Roll call vote.
Mr. Marionetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley? Yes. Mr. Alcoffer? Mr. Ansello? Yes. Mr. Baroth? No. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Mr. Brew? Yes. Mrs. Brown? Yes. Dr. Carbone is excused. Mrs. Conley? Yes. Mr. Delahanty?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFlorio? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Felder? Yes. Mr. Flagler-Mitchell? No. Ms. Harris? No. Mr. Hebert? Yes. Mr. Howland? Yes. Mr. Lightfoot? No. Mr. Michike? Yes. Mr. Morelli? No. Mr. Moyo? No. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mr. Shepard? No. Ms. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Terp? Yes. Mr. Wilcox? No. Mr. Zale? Yes. President Daniele?
Yes.
20-8, resolution passes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 2, referral 16-0165.
Moved by Legislator DeFlorio, seconded by Legislators Michike, Boyce, Terp, Zale, Howland, Taylor, and Draw. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Item passes. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 16-0165.
Moved again by Legislator DeFlorio, seconded by Legislators Michike, Boyce, Terp, Zale, Howland, Taylor, and Draw. This is a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just rise to explain my vote. I don't have a question, but a comment. Another wish for going forward. I will be voting in the affirmative for the capital improvement program. But as I brought up in committee, I had a concern over the buildings that were part of the county's real estate that would be in the capital improvement program. And I brought up specifically St. Paul Street. I forgot the numbers. I realize that this building is a lease, but I would like to say going forward that we look at the content of the lease, and I believe that as going forward that renovations need to be done to that building, and it is our responsibility as tenants to do so because this lease has been in place for quite some time. So I'm making the suggestion that we go forward, specifically at least for next year, that we verify this and look at the needs of that particular building. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Before we vote, I'd like to compliment the administration on this work plan. I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a long and tedious process, and really is very mindful of many different assets that we have in the community, and is one of the things that makes our community great. So thank you. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 16-0182.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislator Brew. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 16-0189.
Moved by legislator DeFlorio, seconded by legislator Boyce. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 6, referral 16-0189.
Moved by legislator DeFlorio, seconded by legislator Boyce. This is a motion to table. All in favor? Oh, legislator Brough.
Mr. President, I have a brief question about this before we table it. If that's okay?
Technically, it's not debatable, but I'm curious to see what your question is, so allow it.
Well, when you serve on the Soil and Water Conservation Board, you
Don't say I never did anything.
I'll tell you. It's just it's a process question. I know that this referral is coming from the administration, well, from the Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board via the administration, and it's about adding parcels of land. I happen to know that some parcels of land are in the process of being removed from the status. I just want to know if that comes to us under separate status, a separate process, or we don't get referred or consulted when parcels are removed from being considered agricultural properties.
Through you, Mr. President, would you like me to provide a response?
Yes, if you have.
Okay. That is a separate process that will come before the legislature at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Barat. So this is a motion to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 7, referral 16-0189.
Moved by legislator DeFlorio, seconded by legislator Boyce. This is to set a public hearing. Now this is we can have a discussion if you'd like. Is there any discussion? You good? All right. There being no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Item carries. Yes, Legislator Marinetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to move agenda items number 8 through 27 and further move that they be considered with one vote.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Legislator Cayley. So items number 8 through 27 moved by Legislator Marinetti, seconded by Legislator Boyce. Is there any discussion? That would be a tough one. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are now on item number 29. So everybody's on the same page. Madam Clerk.
Item number 29, referral 16-0237.
Moved by Legislator Terp, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 30, referral 16-0237.
Moved by Legislator Terp, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is a motion to table. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 31, referral 16-0237.
Moved by Legislator Terp, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to set a public hearing. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 32, referral 16-0238.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Legislator Brough.
President, not that I have anything against this referral, I just want to ask, why is this considered a matter of urgency as opposed to going through the regular cycle?
Legislator Baroth, state law dictates that as soon as these items are turned in and we are prepared to submit them, that we submit them immediately, so, or as soon as possible, I believe. And that would be the next meeting after the information is collected, so that is what we're doing.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 33, referral 16-0239.
Moved by Legislator Marianetti, seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I would ask, why is this matter being introduced as a matter of urgency rather than going through the regular committee cycle?
This is a matter of urgency. Make sure I'm on the right one here.
Comida.
You got it. It's a matter of urgency. As everyone remembers, we confirmed 3 members of the 4 vacancies on the Comida board. The Comida board has already started doing training for the new board members. And as I stated last month, I can't stress the importance of having a full-seated board. And I think it would be an injustice for this 4th member not to have the opportunity to go through the training that the other members are going through at this time. There is a meeting later this month, and I felt it was important to have a full board represented for Comida's subject matter.
Thank you. So just to be clear, moving into the future, as our openings occur in the future, I assume that not every time we appoint someone to the Comida board or the Comida board, it will be considered a matter of urgency?
I would take that on a case-by-case basis, as I have this time around.
Thank you.
Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just threw you to the administration. I was wondering, it was told to the public that by July 1st we would see some changes from the county executive in terms of how Comida will operate. I was wondering if we had any update on that, as it is July 12th now, and we haven't heard anything. So,
yes.
Sorry, Mr. President, we're having a conversation about Comida. I think this is a perfect time to ask the county executive, since she told us back in May, I think it was, that this would be addressed.
Point of order. Yes, Legislator Morelli,
it's now July 12th, and we still haven't heard anything.
On the point of order, I would agree with Legislator Draw that that is not part of the subject matter of this resolution. We are talking about a candidate to fill the seat of the board. We're not talking necessarily about the board.
Well, we are talking about the board, Mr. President, aren't we? In that we're having new members a part of it, and there's obviously still a lot of questions in regards to Comida. I think now's the time to...
Legislator would like to appeal the decision.
Right, I ruled in favor.
I would like to repeal the decision of the...
Do we have a second? Seconded by Legislator Wilcox. Roll call vote.
Yes sustains the rule of the chair. Mr. Marianetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley? No. Mr. Alcoffer? No. Mr. Ansello? Yes. Mr. Baroth? No. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Mr. Brew? Yes. Mrs. Brown? Yes. Dr. Carbone is excused. Mrs. Conley? Yes. Mr. Delahanty? Yes. Mrs. DeFlorio? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Felder? No. Mr. Flagler-Mitchell? No. Ms. Harris? No. Mr. Hebert? Yes. Mr. Howland? Yes. Mr. Lightfoot? No. Mr. Michike? Yes. Mr. Morelli? No. Mr. Moyo? No. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mr. Shepard? No. Ms. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Terp? Yes. Mr. Wilcox? No. Mr. Zale? Yes. President Daniele?
Yes.
18 to 10, ruling of the chair is sustained.
Is there any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Flagler-Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am just interested in what is the diversity makeup of this board, being that our county is so diverse. Did you try to find someone of color or a minority or a female to take that final place, or is this the final seat that we have open for the Comida board?
This is the final seat that is vacant at this time. I can tell you that although I didn't specifically seek out any particular race, gender, religion, I did receive over 40 applicants, of which I believe there was one woman who was African American, or is African American, and 2 African American gentlemen, I believe, that were recommended by the Minority Caucus. And we did reach out to them. One of the gentlemen chose not to be interviewed. The other gentleman did not return 2 phone calls reaching out to them. And I did interview the young lady. Unfortunately, she had a conflict with scheduling that would prohibit her from making the meetings. So I would say there wasn't a very diverse choice, but I really was more focused on choosing the right person for the job. So there was no specific intent or non-intent.
All right, just want to just clarify that we at least reached out, and thank you for reaching out.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Marionetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley? Yes. Mr. Alcoffer? Yes. Mr. Ansello? Yes. Mr. Baroth? Yes. Ms. Boyce? Yes. Mr. Brew? Yes. Mrs. Brown? Yes. Dr. Carbone is excused. Mrs. Conley? Yes. Mr. Delahanty?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFlorio? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Felder? Yes. Mr. Flagler Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Harris? Yes. Mr. Hebert? Yes. Mr. Howland? Yes. Mr. Lightfoot? Yes. Mr. Michike? Yes. Mr. Morelli? No. Mr. Moyo? Yes. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mr. Shepard? Yes. Ms. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Terp? Yes. Mr. Wilcox? Yes. Mr. Zale? Yes. President Daniele?
Yes.
27 to 1, resolution passes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 34, referral 16-0240.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Brough.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I would ask regarding this referral is why are we having it as an urgent matter as opposed to going through the committee cycle?
I sit on the MCC Board of Trustees as president. President Kress has expressed that it was very important to her, given matters that have been coming up throughout the year, some fairly large projects that are coming up, the implementation of a new budget, that we fill the seat that's been vacated now for, I believe, about 6 months. And so I have been reaching out for the past month and receiving several resumes, conducted a couple interviews, 2 interviews, and have chosen Michael Barker as a great fit for the MCC board.
Oh, I would agree that Mr. Barker would actually be a very good fit. I have a lot of respect for the man. But what you've just described to me is a situation where the board, which I believe has 12 members?
I believe it's 7.
7 members, has been functioning very adequately with 6 and could continue to do so for at least a committee cycle. But I realize it's your prerogative. I'm trying to understand when it's a matter of urgency and when it's not, simply because there are other boards which we have going through the cycle, and we do have an opportunity to ask questions that might be, pertinent to, the process. And especially if it's the more important boards is why I'm concerned that, yes, it's important we fill these seats, but also these are the boards that have huge impacts on our county. And as a legislative body, we ought to be, be able to have some input, not just here at the last second where I'm the only one standing up and I feel pretty bad about doing it, but nonetheless, it's our only opportunity. So I would urge you to not apply the matter of urgency if you don't have to. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I will answer. Typically, a president's appointment does not go through the Agenda Charter Committee, so it doesn't go through a regular cycle. That being said, it could be introduced in a packet and voted on at the next meeting, but it would not be an item that would necessarily be discussed at committees, just so you know. Yes, Legislator Muyo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know plenty of people in this room are familiar with Mr. Barker. However, I am not, and there was no resume or other identifying material with the matter of urgency sent out today, unless I missed something. Did I miss something, Mr. President?
You did not miss something. We'd be happy to get you a resume if you'd like.
Before the vote?
Unfortunately, I don't have his resume here to hand out right now, so no.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. We are now under consideration of unfinished business. I just wanted to give everybody an update on the paperless project that will be coming up that we adopted in June. The devices have been purchased. We've entered into a 90-day free trial with the software vendor. The name of that vendor is Novus Agenda, if you're curious to look it up. The clerk's office staff is currently working with IS, Department of the County, and Novus Agenda to personalize the software to Monroe County. That process is well underway, and we anticipate bringing the legislative staff, that will be you, Dennis, in the next couple weeks for training and a soft launch in August so that the staffs will be working off of these tablets in August. Legislators will be able to look at them, but will maintain paper in August. We'll also be working towards setting up 2 training sessions for the legislators in August. One of those dates, once those dates are confirmed, our clerk, Jamie, and I will communicate that to you. We're going to try to hold one of the training sessions at the August 9th full legislature meeting for convenience for the legislators' schedules, as well as at least one additional training session. The timeline moving forward is to have devices on your desks and ready to go for September, the September legislature meeting, but I will continue to update the legislature as we move forward, and I want to thank you for your patience and your vote in favor for this project. Also, just a reminder that the legislative photo, we will be doing a photo, for those of you who haven't participated in that, on August 9th, and I would ask that you make yourself available on that date at 3:30. So I wanted to give everybody plenty of notice that we will be doing the pictures and hopefully the first of 2 training sessions on the tablets. And that's it. There being no further unfinished business, Legislator Marinetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. We stand adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, August 9th, 2016.
Thank you.